In today's video, I'm going to tell you how to take your old, worn, tired, played out deck and turn it into a backyard oasis. I'm going to do it all for around $400, and I'm going to do it all in one weekend. So this is what we're starting with. Some 4-foot wide steps, deck boards, terrible, somebody's feet, and a couple of crusty ass dogs. First, before you can put up a new deck, you gotta get rid of the old deck. Now the bones of this underneath, the skeleton I call it, they're in good shape. All the posts that are coming out of the ground, all of the skirting going around the outside underneath the deck boards, all of the joists, those are all in good shape. It's just the top deck boards that are really unsightly. And honestly, that wood's in okay shape. It's not awful. But the first thing we got to do is get rid of all the railing. There's a couple of different methods. A lot of people might try the just straight demolition method where you're just banging at it with a sledgehammer or cutting it up with a saw. I'm going to try and salvage as much of this wood as I can to be cut later to be made into what we need. So what I'm doing, and what you can do if you want to try and save the wood, is to take all of the screws out. There's a whole lot of screws in this deck. It's going to take a little while. I'm going to recommend using an impact driver. It's a little bit different than a regular drill driver. You can see this is an impact driver. It's shorter. It's not as long as a normal drill driver. The reason you use an impact driver to remove screws like this is because they're going to be rusted in place. So if you use a normal drill driver, you're just using the torque. You're just using how much turn it can give you. And a lot of those won't have the ability. You'll end up stripping a lot of the screws out. With an impact though, it also gives that sort of hammering effect as it's trying to get the torque on it and spin it out. It helps to break loose a lot of those sticky screws that don't want to come out, and you won't break the head of the screw off or strip the screw head out. I'll show you a little bit about what it sounds like when you pull one out. And this is going to be a tough one because it's in crooked, but I'm going to seat it and put my weight into it. So you hear how it's banging at first like a hammer. I'll show you another one. Let's do another screw. Again, this one's straight up and down. I'll put my weight on it. That one came out pretty simple, no hammering needed, and it kind of chooses when it's going to do that, when it's tough. So there you go, it's hammering again. See, so an impact driver definitely over a drill driver when removing old screws and bolts like this. I feel it only necessary to tell you the demo, as you can see by my shirt, demo is not an easy job. We cut most of the demo out of this video, not showing it, because there are kids that watch this show, and there was a whole lot of cussing going on. Who keeps running by while I'm working on the deck and spraying me with warm, salty water? But I don't like it. So here I've got my first board up. What I did was I came and made a measurement down from the top of the bottom of this board to give me my first measurement. I went ahead and cut this one to length. What I'm doing on this end is I'm just butting straight up to the end of this 4x4 post, because on this side over here I'll be having a grill that comes up to the back of this deck, so I don't even need to skirt this side of it. But as it runs down this deck right here, I've got it passing over there by about 1 inch, which is the thickness of the boards, so that when that next board goes on that side, it'll butt into the back of that and make a nice little corner. So I'm just going along and pre-marking. You can pick whatever space between the boards you want to leave. I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch, something like that, in between each board, and I'll probably get about 4 boards on here. You can do whichever you like, but for us, this is what we're going to use. I'm about to quit for tonight. It's getting a little out of hand. But that is what the front skirt looks like. Now what we're talking about doing is leaving the boards down there at the bottom on the skirt the color that they are. We kind of like those browns and grays, but then this main beam right here going across, maybe painting that white or charcoal or something like that. I don't know. We'll play around with it and see what happens. Anyway, like I said, this side doesn't need to be clad in because there will be a grill going over here. I still need to clad down here at the far end halfway up. We're using ring shanks in a nail gun. So, time to get to work. That is a nail gun. A little bit about what we're doing to reuse and recycle and repurpose a lot of the pieces that came off the original deck. Now the problem that we had with a lot of the decking is that it just didn't look very good, and some of it was starting to show some rot, and a lot of it was starting to show signs of wear. But other than walking on it, there's still some pieces in here that have some natural age on them and some character added to it that we wanted to keep. And one of the main problems we have in this backyard is we get a lot of the setting sun on this deck. We don't have any mature trees on our lot, so we need some shade. So to fix that problem, we're taking the old railing like this. We kept it intact, and we're going to go up and we're going to extend the 4x4 posts that come to the handrail height on the deck. We're going to extend those up to about 7 or 8 feet high. We're going to attach these like this so that they make sort of a cantilevered pergola, or a piece of a pergola, hanging out over the deck so that it'll give us some shade. I'll show you a little bit about these posts that we're doing. This is them. Now they're going to be 6x6 beefed up posts. They were 4x4s before, but what I did was take just some of the deck board material, which is about 1 inch thick, and just went around the posts and nailed them to each other. To go in between and give me a little bit more to nail against, I put 2x4s in between them. I'll kind of show you. So this is basically the post now. I've got deck board 2x4 and then another deck board over here, so now they're clad and they go up. That's what's going to be the support for when we raise the trellis up to the top to be a shade structure. Okay, confession time. You know that little part I made in the beginning about how I was going to get all this done in 2 days? Yeah, well, that's not quite working out for me. We had a couple of things going on. I wanted to show you kind of where we're at right now. Let me see if I can pan out and get you a bigger shot here. But we've clad these 4x4 posts into 6x6. Still need to go through and probably put another board on the back side, but that'll be a job off a ladder. The ladder I'm not dragging out today. But you can see all the reclaimed wood on the bottom. Skirting it out looks real good, and then the new gray on the old apron, and then the new wood. This is the end of technically day 2, but we really had a day and a half in on it, so to be fair, my 2 days wasn't too far off. But we've also added a few more elements to this project. Now, this is the bench that's being built in and getting wrapped in the old wood also. Again, I'm going to take more of this old reclaimed wood and I'm going to cut slats to go in the top to make the top of it, and then we'll put cushions on it. While Riley helps put the boards in the seat, thought I'd show you what I'm doing up here. It's going to be kind of hard because the sun is at a bad angle. But anyway, I'm up here on the ladder, getting near the top of the posts. Right now, this is what the posts look like. I'm going to be putting these boards on something like that to catch the old railing that is going to be the new trellis, right? So I'm going to have to mount these to the top, and I haven't decided how far I'm going to pull them forward yet. And anyway, I'm going to have to mount these to the top, And then underneath it, I'm going to have to brace with a 2x4 on a 45-degree angle to kind of prop these up. I'm getting to work on that. I'll show you what it looks like in a second. Wanted to show you guys some of the progress we've been making. I've got 2 of my shade structures put up. Again, these are the pieces of railing that we salvaged and kept. They were really dried out, so any of the pressure treating is gone out of them. Now they're basically just back to regular 2x4 so they can be painted. We've painted them. We painted them gray. I've got 2 of these up. I've still got 2 more to go on the top of these posts. Building the steps is pretty straightforward. It's really not that complicated. You can buy pre-cut stringers, which are the actual step pieces of wood that go underneath to support the steps. They're called stringers. You can buy pre-cut stringers for varying size or at least number of steps at Lowe's or Home Depot or any of those big box stores. So really it just comes down to getting the 2x6s, and I do recommend 2x6s instead of 1x6s. You can use those for the top of your step treads, but I use the 2x6s. They're a little bit sturdier. They just last a little bit more over the years. And in any event, then it's just a matter of hanging your stringers and nailing down your step treads. Now to do these rails, it's really simple. All I did was take some 2x4s, as you can see here. They're going to go against the posts that go up. In those 2x4s, I've marked off the center points and the diameter of how large these pipes are. Now these pipes are about 1 inch across. Then I just took a paddle bit, which you can use a paddle bit, you can use a 1-inch bit, whatever size bit you got to have. Attach it to your drill. Drill the holes all the way through the 2x4s on all the holes that you've got marked. In this case, I needed 5 of these poles. And then once you get the holes drilled in 2 2x4s, one on one end and one on the other, then you're going to put those 2x4s onto the ends of your poles. Sort of set it up to be ready to go in and move the 2x4s all the way in. I cut these poles 1 inch shorter than what they needed to be from post to post. Once I get them inside the perimeter of those 2 posts, then I just move the 2x4 blocks to the outside, plumb them up, and nail them in place. Bam, it holds the rails. These suckers are in there, I'm telling you, you can't get them out. I've tried. It's like prison. All right, one thing I'm really proud of, a last minute kind of addition that we made, a change that we made to the deck, was to add this box. But if you'll notice, there's a little handle right here. Now that handle, coupled with the 2 hinges, kind of makes you wonder, all right, there's got to be something going on. This lifts up, obviously. What is it? I know what you're thinking, right? Built-in cooler, and you'd be right. Just an old cooler. Took the top off, mounted it to some boards. Had to put this here to make it thick enough to where my screws would go through it. Then when you close it, all I did was remove the hinges off of the old cooler and use those as the hinges for the top now, and then just put a handle on it. And again, it just opens right up. Looking back on this project, one of my favorite things about it is the fact that we reclaimed and repurposed the old deck boards, the old handrails to make the trellis up top for a shade structure. The wood itself was not structurally in bad shape. It was just visually in bad shape. It was full of a lot of splinters. We were able to take that, recycle it back into the project and save all that money and figure out something creative to do with it, like skirting around the bottom of the deck to hide all of the stuff underneath, the weeds and everything that everybody has so much trouble with underneath their decks. And usually people put up lattice work and that's just tired and played out. And I thought this was really cool, especially with the pallet wood craze and how it's got that driftwood look. Then we were able to build a bench and face that out with the same wood and enclose the cooler over here in it. And then take the old handrail itself, and it already looks like what you would make a pergola or an arbor into. And to take that and lift that and put it above our heads to give us some shade. And also it kind of hugs you in. When you're sitting out here at night when the sun's going down, you almost feel like you're secure, like you're under our roof. I got to say that's probably my favorite part of the project.
But some other things that take a close second to it, I love the fact that we use metal conduit that's cheap metal conduit that you can find at Lowe's or Home Depot, any of the hardware stores, and used it horizontally, and then that became our railing. I think that gives it a sleek, modern look. I think that really classes it up a lot, and again, it's a cheap way to go about it. Some of these steel cable systems and everything that you see that look nice and modern, they can be pretty expensive. And I think that those can be harsh with little kids around. You know, sometimes, you know, if you were to kind of bang against that or run your hand across it, it might be a little bit, I don't know, it's kind of harsh. So I like the conduit idea. That's another thing that's really spectacular to me. I love this project. I think it turned out wonderful. I hope it gives you some ideas. Again, I think we did this for about $400. I'd have to go back and tally it all up to get an exact count, but it's around $400 and in 2 weekends. And it's just me and my wife working on it. A lot of figuring it out as we go along. That took a lot of time. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for liking and watching and subscribing and sharing and all the other stuff and commenting on these videos. I really appreciate the interaction. Feel free to post this on social media. Come find me on social media, Facebook, Twitter. I'm on all of them. Check them out. We'll see you next time.